Welcome back to Bible Shorts, episode 131. Well, in our last episode, we started our study of Genesis, and we learned that for ancient Israelites, the creation in Genesis chapter 1 is orderly and follows a pattern. Every day, God says, "Let there be X," and there is X. And then there's an evening and a morning. We also learned that the word that is translated as good in our English Bibles, in Hebrew, is a word called tov. And tov means way more than just ordinary good. It means something that can, is now, and in the future is doing the will of God, fulfilling the purpose for which it was created. And we talked about days 1 through 5 in the creation story told in Genesis chapter 1. Day 1, light. Day 2, sky. Day 3, seas, land, and plants. Day 4, lights in the sky. Day 5, fish and birds. So what happens on day 6 in Genesis chapter 1? Animal life shows up, and people are created in the image of God. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures of every kind, cattle and creeping things and wild animals of the earth of every kind." And it was so. God made the wild animals of the earth of every kind, and the cattle of every kind, and everything that creeps upon the ground of every kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make humans in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the wild animals of the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." Wait a minute. Did we just read that God said, "Let us make humans in our image"? Not, "I will make humans in my image." Why does God speak of himself in the plural? But in other places in the Bible, he refers to himself in the singular. And this us, this plural, only occurs 4 times in the entire Old Testament, 3 times in Genesis, and once in the book of the prophet Isaiah, when Isaiah has a vision in the temple and hears the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" And Isaiah replies, "Here I am, send me." As Christians, we naturally want to say, "Oh, it's a hidden reference to the Trinity. One God in 3 persons, Father, Son, Holy Ghost." Well, the truth is, nobody knows, and Bible scholars can't agree. It's another one of those mysteries. So God created people in his image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. God blessed them. And God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it and have dominion over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." So what does have dominion mean? Well, it sounds like it means humans are in charge of taking care of the planet, the fish, the birds, and all living creatures on earth. And it was so. God saw everything that he had made, and indeed it was very good. And there was evening and there was morning, the 6th day. Oh, this is interesting. This is the only day when things are very good. So, what could it mean that humans are made in the image of God? Well, I think it's way more than just saying we are creative like God, that we have a sense of right and wrong, that we can love and think and reason. You know, we might say that God created us in His image so that we could display or reflect or share His love for each one of us and God's love for His creation. You know, we're created to be part of God's family. And now, in day 7, in the creation story here, I laughed when I saw this next picture because I think the artist must have been thinking of Aslan the lion from C.S. Lewis's Narnia books. The heavens and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the 7th day, God finished the work that He had been doing, and He rested on the 7th day from all the work that He had been doing. And God blessed the 7th day and called it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that He had done. Such is the story of heaven and earth when they were created. Interesting fact. I read that all ancient copies of Genesis that have been discovered say, on the 6th day, God finished the work that He had been doing. But the official Hebrew text clearly says, the 7th day. Bible scholars wonder if some scribe made a correction to the text, changing it to the 6th day, thinking that God wasn't creating on the 7th day, just resting. Now, for 6 days, God has been creating in 3 dimensions. And now He's created something in the 4th dimension, time. Every other instance, when He creates something, He calls it good or very good. But He blesses the 7th day and declares it holy. What is holy? Now, in the ancient world, apart from the Israelites, their gods acted in and were associated with nature. Holiness was a physical place, a holy river, a holy mountain, a temple in which was a statue of the city's god. In Genesis, holiness is not in physical space. It is in time. God created a day and blessed that day and declared it holy. And it was to the ancient Israelites and is still now to devout Jews a very important part of their lives. Chapter 2 of Genesis never uses the Hebrew word for the 7th day, Shabbat, which comes from a root meaning to cease, to end, to rest. It always refers to the 7th day as just the 7th day. The writer, editor, compiler of the final form of Genesis was avoiding any confusion with the Hebrew word for the planet Saturn, just as he or she did not use the words sun, moon, or stars when talking about creation day 4, remember? To this day in English, we call the 7th day Saturday, which comes from the Latin word meaning literally Saturn's day, dies Saturni. The 7th day, Shabbat, for Jews today starts a few minutes before the sun sets on Friday. Shabbat is primarily a day of rest and spiritual enrichment. One prepares to enter the Sabbath. You light candles. You have a special meal with special blessings and prayers. You may go to synagogue. You are setting aside time to be with God and family. You rest from your work. You have entered a holy space, a holy time, which ends upon the appearance of 3 stars in the sky on Saturday night or an hour after sundown. Next week, we will look into a second creation in Genesis. This is not unusual. There are often multiple creation stories in ancient Near Eastern cultures. In Egypt, I believe there are 5 creation stories, each with a different God. See you next week. Look for Bible Shorts episode 132, Genesis chapter 2.